Welcome to the EconomyTalk News YouTube channel. In today's segment, we will be discussing the trade issue between Korea and China. Statistical data reveals a concerning downturn in trade relations between Korea and China, marking a significant shift towards a deficit structure after 31 years of diplomatic relations since its establishment in 1992. Reports from the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy, as well as the Korea International Trade Association, indicate that exports to China amount to $114 billion, while imports account for $132 billion, resulting in a trade deficit of $18 billion. This deficit has persistently occurred throughout the year, starting with a deficit of $3.9 billion in January. Once characterized by a thriving trade relationship, China served as the primary export market for Korea, registering as the largest surplus country for an extended period. However, this dynamic has undergone a significant transformation, with the trade balance now favoring China. Join us as we delve into the reasons behind this transformative change. As of November, the $18 billion trade deficit with China ranked second only to the $22.4 billion deficit with Saudi Arabia, a major crude oil import market. Several factors are believed to have contributed to this shift towards a deficit situation. Firstly, complacency and over-reliance on the Chinese market have played a role. The global trade environment has been rapidly evolving, and it is crucial to acknowledge these changes, particularly in the Chinese market. Furthermore, the weakening competitiveness of the domestic export industry may also be a contributing factor. Following the establishment of diplomatic relations between Korea and China, China initially relied on importing Korean intermediate goods for assembly and processing. However, it has since strengthened the competitiveness of its own manufacturing industry, moving away from this labor division relationship. Conversely, some argue that Korean industries have excessively depended on Chinese imports, leading to a deepening trade imbalance. In addition to these dynamics, recent supply chain conflicts and retaliatory confrontations between the United States and China have also impacted popular items exported to China. However, the import of Chinese resources and raw materials continues to rise. Research institutes and expert groups are already emphasizing the urgent need to diversify export markets and develop new primary export items in response to the post-China era. It appears that the golden era of Korea-China relations, both in terms of security and economic cooperation, has come to an end. After China, countries like India, with a population exceeding China's, as well as resource-rich nations such as Vietnam and Indonesia, present viable alternative export markets. Furthermore, keen observations indicate potential opportunities in the Middle East and EU markets, given President Yoon Suk-yeol's efforts to revive the export-first policy through summit diplomacy, expanding Korea's global corporate playground. The Yoon Suk-yeol government emphasizes that all government ministries should be in charge of industry and trade, dedicated to exports, under the policy of a private-led market economy led by the private sector and supported by the government. The president took upon himself the role of Korea's #1 salesman and carried out nuclear power plant and defense industry export diplomacy, even at summit diplomatic sites. During his first state visit to the Netherlands since the establishment of diplomatic ties, he visited the headquarters of ASML, the world's largest semiconductor equipment specialist, and signed a Korea-Netherlands Semiconductor Alliance. Samsung Electronics chairman Lee Jae-yong, who accompanied the president's national diplomacy trip, signed an MOU with ASML to establish a next-generation semiconductor technology research and development center in Korea. Additionally, SK Chairman Chae Tae-won also achieved the conclusion of a comprehensive cooperation MOU with ASML. In conclusion, as an alternative to the trade deficit in China, there is a pressing need to promptly discover and export new cutting-edge products and open up a new global corporate playground spanning the Middle East, Europe, and Africa. Coincidentally, on the 13th, the Emergency Economic Ministers meeting, chaired by the soon-to-be-retired Deputy Prime Minister Chu Kyung-ho, announced a plan to strengthen the competitiveness of the entire cycle of rechargeable batteries. The main contents include stabilizing the supply of key minerals, strengthening the competitiveness of materials and cell manufacturing, creating a post-consumer battery ecosystem, and developing a secondary battery industrial ecosystem. In order to stabilize the supply of core minerals, the plan is to provide a tax credit of 3% of the investment amount for investments in overseas resource development and to consider designating refining and smelting technologies for core minerals such as nickel and lithium as new growth and source technologies under the Restriction of Special Taxation Act. In order to strengthen the competitiveness of materials and cell manufacturing, the plan is to shorten the 21-month period to 10 months through priority examination of secondary battery patents. In addition, the post-use battery ecosystem plans to systematically foster the post-use battery industry by enacting a support law next year. The plan to create a secondary battery ecosystem is to support policy financing of $38 trillion plus say over the next 5 years across all fields, including minerals, materials, and finished products, and to promote a next-generation secondary battery technology development project worth 117.2 billion won. In general, it is considered appropriate for the government to prepare a plan to strengthen the competitiveness of the entire industry, but some critics say that it should have been implemented earlier. Although Korea is leading the secondary battery market, including electric vehicle batteries, it is pointed out that the country's dependence on foreign countries for key mineral support and the 4 major materials is too high. Last year, the world's electric vehicle battery share was 49.0% in Korea, 26.1% in China, and 18.5% in Japan. On the other hand, it is pointed out that securing future competitiveness is not guaranteed due to the high dependence on foreign countries for core minerals and 4 major materials, so stabilizing and diversifying these supply chains is very urgent and important. Among the key mineral resources for secondary batteries, 84% of lithium hydroxide is imported from China, and 87% of artificial graphite is imported from China. Isn't this excessive? Also, 82% of lithium carbonate is dependent on Chilean products. In the case of the 4 major materials, 50% of anode materials, 78% of cathode materials, 62% of separators, and 66% of electrolytes depend on overseas imports, which is also excessively high. The weaponization of resources by resource-possessing countries is already becoming visible. Countries in Southeast Asia and South America, including China, which we rely on the most for imports, are taking steps to control exports of major items. Accordingly, the government plans to stockpile 100 days' worth of lithium and rare earth elements and reduce dependence on imports from specific countries to less than 50% by 2030. For this purpose, the plan is to invest 241.7 billion won to build a new storage base at the Simanjeom National Industrial Complex. Korea's high-tech industry has become a manufacturing powerhouse by importing key raw material minerals from a resourceless country, so stabilizing and diversifying the supply chain is an essential task that is more important than anything else.